Solo and Infinity War aren't the only movies hitting theaters this year. Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 movies that aren't on your radar for 2018.
Spock, if he's alive, may very well be living even at this moment as a captive prisoner.
Before we begin, we publish new videos every day, so be sure to subscribe for more great content. For this list, we're taking a look at movies coming out in 2018 that you probably haven't heard of, but should start anticipating now. Number 10. Ophelia.
Good God, murder here.
In only a few years, Daisy Ridley has become one of Hollywood's fastest rising stars with her performance in Murder on the Orient Express and, of course, her iconic turn as Rey in the Star Wars films. She takes center stage in Ophelia, which tackles William Shakespeare's Hamlet from a fresh perspective. Based on Lisa Klein's novel, this film shifts focus from Hamlet himself to the Queen's Lady-in-Waiting. Many acclaimed actresses have portrayed Ophelia on the silver screen, including Kate Winslet, Helena Bonham Carter, and Gene Simmons. Since the character is upgraded from a supporting player to the leading lady here, Ridley's portrayal has the potential to be the most complex depiction of Ophelia yet.
You will remove these restraints and leave this cell with the door open.
Number 9. Isle of Dogs.
I don't think I can stomach any more of this garbage.
In films like The Royal Tenenbaums and Moonrise Kingdom, Wes Anderson demonstrated an unusual tendency to kill off canine companions in brutal fashion. So we can only imagine what he has in store for us in Isle of Dogs.
Nobody's giving up around here, and don't you forget it, ever.
Anderson's first stop-motion animated feature since Fantastic Mr. Fox, this tale follows a pack of dogs that is exiled to an island of garbage. In search of his four-legged friend, a boy named Atari Kobayashi ventures to the dump and teams up with 5 locals, with Japanese authorities hot on their tails. We'd say that's an offbeat premise, but from a one-of-a-kind visionary like Mr. Anderson, we wouldn't expect anything less.
I wish somebody spoke his language.
Number 8. Tully. Jason Reitman and Diablo Cody, the minds behind everyone's favorite teen pregnancy movie Juno, team up once again to give us this dramedy that's sure to have us laughing and crying in equal measure. The film stars Charlize Theron, who previously worked with Cody and Reitman on the surprisingly poignant young adult, as a mother who discovers her brother has hired a nanny to look after her 3 children. While that's pretty much the only information that's been revealed so far, with the talent involved, you can definitely expect some witty, quotable lines, quirky characters, and sudden emotional gut punches. What more could you want from a movie?
Sometimes, in order to heal, a few people have to get hurt.
Number 7. Mortal Engines.
I wish the ring had never come to me.
With The Lord of the Rings, Peter Jackson took seemingly unfilmable source material and turned in a celebrated film franchise. He could very well do the same for Mortal Engines, an adaptation of Philip Reeves' hit novel. Jackson both produces and co-writes this steampunk adventure, although he hands over directing duties to his longtime collaborator, Christian Rivers. With familiar names like Hugo Weaving and Stephen Lang attached, the story takes place in a post-apocalyptic world, where cities on wheels go to battle over resources. Does the idea of Mad Max Fury Road meets Howl's Moving Castle entice you at all? If so, Mortal Engines should be right up your alley. Number 6. Under the Silver Lake.
He passed it on to me. Something was gonna follow me.
Writer-director David Robert Mitchell delivered an instant classic with It Follows, which satirized several horror tropes while still telling a legitimately spine-chilling story. In Under the Silver Lake, Mitchell will take an ambitious approach to the neo-noir crime thriller genre. The cast includes high-profile performers Riley Keough, Topher Grace, and Oscar nominee Andrew Garfield, who described the film as the weirdest, wildest, most unique thing he's been a part of. Comparing Mitchell to David Lynch, Garfield noted just how unpredictable the film's production could be. With an endorsement like that, we can expect one of the strangest and most invigorating movie-going experiences of the year. Number 5. Backseat. Between The Machinist, The Fighter, and American Hustle, Christian Bale has gone through some unbelievable on-screen transformations over the years. His Dick Cheney makeover just might take the cake, however. Bale plays former Vice President of the United States in Backseat, which additionally features Sam Rockwell as George W. Bush, Steve Carell as Donald Rumsfeld, and Amy Adams as Lynn Cheney, just to name a few. Adam McKay, who previously won an Oscar for The Big Short, writes and directs this in-depth look at the Veep's impact on the political climate. To think, less than 10 years ago, Cheney was arguably the most controversial man in Washington, and Donald Trump was hosting The Apprentice.
And David, I'm going to ask you to take the down elevator. You're fired.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Number 4. The Man Who Killed Don Quixote.
All of my stuff has been about reality, fantasy, madness, sanity, and and Quixote encompasses all of those.
While his films haven't always been financially successful, Terry Gilliam has given us one creative feat after another, including Time Bandits, Brazil, and The Adventures of Baron Munchausen. On 8 separate occasions, Gilliam's tried to get the man who killed Don Quixote off the ground. After almost 20 years of hitting dead ends, his passion project is finally making its way to the silver screen. Since many of Gilliam's movies involve time travel, it shouldn't come as a surprise that the story revolves around a man who leaps between 21st century London and 17th century La Mancha. Given the film's complicated history, it'll be fascinating to see Gilliam's vision brought to life, at long last.
Okay, and cut it! And cut Julio! Excellent.
Number 3. Mute. With 2009's Moon, Duncan Jones established himself as a filmmaker to watch. The English director has described Mute as a spiritual sequel to his debut feature. So does that mean the film could be to Moon what Split was to Unbreakable? Well, in any case, the story centers on a mute bartender, played by Alexander Skarsgård, who sets out to find his missing girlfriend in a crime-ridden Berlin. The film is already drawing comparisons to sci-fi mysteries like Blade Runner. With Netflix acting a distributor, this is one you'll definitely want to add to your queue. Number 2. First Man.
There are no 2 words in the English language more harmful than good job.
Damien Chazelle rose to prominence with 2014's Whiplash, which won 3 Academy Awards. With his follow-up picture, La La Land, he became the youngest individual to take home the Best Director Oscar. Considering how far Chazelle has come before even hitting his mid-30s, you wouldn't think he'd be able to top himself at this point. However, First Man may be his boldest project yet. Chazelle reteams with Ryan Gosling, who plays Neil Armstrong in this true story that builds up to the Apollo 11's historic voyage to the moon. Claire Foy, Corey Stoll, and Kyle Chandler round out an all-star cast in a film that's sure to be one small step further in Chazelle's career. Number 1. God Particle. Whereas the original Cloverfield was one of the most hyped movies of 2008, the ads for 10 Cloverfield Lane seemed to pop up out of the blue at the last minute. God Particle, which is the 3rd entry in the Cloverfield franchise, appears to be following a similar marketing pattern. The film sets itself in a space station where, of course, an experiment goes totally wrong and the astronauts aboard must fight for their lives. Like its predecessors, God Particle has us intrigued because so much is clouded in mystery. We are not sure how the film will connect to the Cloverfield universe. All we know is that we're buying tickets for opening night.
Crazy is building your ark after the flood has already come.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out these other great clips from WatchMojo and subscribe for new videos every day.